Hey kids, welcome back to 396 Guitars. We have the Les Paul back on the bench. This is the second video in this installment. There was one thing led to another, which created a little too much work to get all in one video. Today I'm going to explain where we're at. Let's get to work and tell you where we're going. So we did do the fret ends. All right. Now I do this in a couple of steps. First, you use a safe edge fret end file. I did get this from StewMac. I've tried a bunch of them. I'll say a lot of times, rant about StewMac, but their tools are second to none. So taped it all off. Of course, you got to protect a lot. You want to make sure you're not, errantly hitting something that you don't want to. So one of the customer complaints was sharp fret ends, and yes, they were. And what have we done? You take the fret end file, and it's got a safe edge on it. That doesn't mean it won't, if you really push on it, it won't leave a mark. You just got to be careful. And I've already done the entire board with this. I'm just illustrating how I do it. So you're going to work your way up every fret end. And the first thing you do is go around this way and this way on each fret end, right? And then you're going to feel, and if there's anything sticking up there, you file it up and you round off the tip. And don't be surprised when you get done going through every single one of these. And by the way, yeah, I have to have my Mr. Magoo eyes on when I'm doing this. I get right down on top of it, and that's why I don't film it usually. I'm trying to explain it the best way that I can, because you have to get down on there and see. And then you feel, and then if there's something else, you just ever so carefully go at each one and then flip the guitar around and do the other side. Now, don't be discouraged if you try this yourself and you go like that and, well, it doesn't feel that much better. Well, that's because there's two other steps to it just to do the fret ends the way that I do it. And one is like this is a 120 grit. It's pretty aggressive. So after you've done all of that and cleaned all the burrs off, you go through and you work the ends, right? Really good with 120, both sides. I do the whole fret because at this point I have taped off the entire board, and after working on it and doing this and that, we're going to go at it and polish them all as well. So very, carefully work each end, right? And then you go to like a 600 grit. This was 120, and you go to something a little bit more benign, and same thing. And you're basically concentrating on just the ends to get any errant burrs off with the sand pad, both sides. And like I said, I went all the way across on all of them. Both sides and the tops and the ends over and over again. That's basically a three-part step just to get the ends to where I like them. Then, because we took the time to tape everything off, we're going to go through polishing, right? And I've shown you many times my procedure for polishing. I have coarse, medium, fine, and ultra fine, right? And there's two different grits on each side of this. So we're going to hit each fret 8 times. Starting with coarse, which the coarse is, that's not really very coarse because it's 1500 to 1800. And it goes higher and higher and higher to the point where you get to 15,000, right? And the reason we do that is to really get a nice, clean, polished finish on there, and remove as much as possible of errant, scratches and striations. That doesn't make for a very pleasurable playing experience. When I get done with it, they're going to be mirrored finished. Am I going to show you the entire process? No, but I'll show you a couple. All right. And as I said, each one of these, I have this one I've done. I get usually 4 or 5 polishings out of each set of these, each 4-piece set. Some of these are getting a little bit rough. The coarse and the medium are okay. When we get to the higher grits, it's a little bit questionable, and that's why I have a new pack here. So right away we start with the coarse side. Now the coarser side is the side with the printing. I use these, and again I got these from StuMac, and they're shaped pretty neat, you know, so you can get down on the sides, over the crowns, and the ends even. So it's pretty basic stuff. You want to start on the sides, and that's why they're shaped this way, and work around the fret ends because we just worked on those. Do both sides, right? And then start working the crown of it. And yes, it takes a long time and it's tedious, but it is absolutely necessary, and it's worth it when you get to the end result. Right? I just did that one. That was one side of this one. Flip it over and we do the same thing. This is just the coarse. And I said that's 1500 and 1800. So progressively you're going higher and higher and higher grits. And eventually when you get done, there will be a mirror finish on them. Because by the time you get up to 15,000 or whatever it is, I think the high one is 15 or 18,000. Then you go to the medium. And just from that, the coarse one alone, some guys will go, oh, that's good enough. No, I do it all the way. It's going to get 8 passes on each fret. And pay attention to your fret ends because, well, they need love too. All over the entire fret, and roll it as you're going. Roll it over and over. Get the whole thing. By the time you get down to the last one, the last micro mesh, you're going to really start trying to buff it a little bit because you're up to 15,000 grit. You go a little faster, a little faster. Flip it over, repeat. Make sure you're on something that's actually doing something. These are getting a little worn. I have done several jobs with them, but you'll know if they're working. I can already see the difference in it. And I'm going to try to illustrate that on camera here in just a moment. Really feels good. That was 8 passes on that one fret. So it gives you an idea how long it takes to get through this entire process. It's labor intensive, and yeah, it's pretty tedious. By the time you get to the end of it, you really don't want to do it anymore. There isn't not even a speck of a scratch left on there. Now, I'm going to try to illustrate this. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. It probably is already showing the difference between this one and the one next to it, but there's the difference right there. It is absolutely perfect. And we're still not done with it because when we get the final, when we get all the tape off and we're cleaning the guitar, we're going to oil the fretboard and we're going to clean up all the frets again. And then we're going to take polish, tarnish polish, fret polish, and we're going to get all the tarnish off from doing all that process. Yeah, fret dressing. Sometimes when I'm doing just a restring and a setup, and I do a quickie with maybe a 1,000 grit or a 700 or an 800 grit, and I'm just cleaning up the frets enough to get by. you know, because they aren't that bad. And I always say, you can go way farther with frets, and that's what we're doing on this instrument. We're going way farther. We're going all the way. So when I get done, every fret is going to look brand new, just like that one. Okay, so stand by, because literally this is going to take me an hour, hour and a half to do. When I come back, we'll remove the tape and continue forward. So stand by. So, yeah, off camera, we polished them all, and it took, a little over an hour to go through every step with the micro mesh. So now it's, we can kind of get the tape off of it. And don't be in a rush to do this. This is low-tack tape. Even with low-tack tape, I kind of, every time I apply it, I put it on my shirt so it's not super, super sticky. You don't want it to pull off any finish, which is unlikely with this. But on cheaper guitars, I've seen it happen. Get all the tape off. Tedious, just tedious work. My least favorite job, but you have to put your head down and just get at it, and the result will speak for itself. Which is what we're looking for, is smoother fret ends, and while we were at it, I went ahead and polished all the frets completely. As I said before, why not? You're already there, you already have everything taped off. I'm going to pause while I get this tape off just to save a few seconds, a few minutes. It could take me a minute to get it off of there. Stand by. So, off camera, I took the tape off, and I figured before I oil the board, which is damn, I mean, you can see it, how white it is. It's really dry. I may do 2 applications. I started to clean the guitar, which I always do. And yeah, nitrocellulose, there's a lot of wax buildup. When I say wax buildup, it's from not only from cleaning product, but it's from sweat and goop builds up on the nitro, and it creates that cloudiness that you see here and here. And it's really all over the guitar. Yeah, there's only one way to get that off, and that's to polish it by hand tediously for hours. It can be done, it can be cleaned up, but I took the outer layer of crap off of it. Yeah, this is soaking this oil right up. I mean, it is just soaking it up. It's going to take a couple of applications to get it back up to snuff. And, wow, it's really dry. Most definitely I'm going to do this a couple of times. I think this guitar may have been sitting for a while. I have to ask the client, but we'll see. From what I've learned from him, he plays his instruments, but damn, this is drier than a popcorn fart. Normally, I would say never leave the oil just sit on there, but I'm gonna pause and let it sit for a few minutes, because yeah, and then I'm gonna wipe it off and I'm gonna reapply it a couple of times. Just because I really think it needs it. It's just splotching it up, yeah. It's really, really taking the oil. It's been neglected for a long, long time, I can tell. So, I don't know, let's try to put another application on right away. really splotchy. I'm really starting to wonder how old this guitar really is. I wonder if it's wax buildup on the fretboard too. Like it had never ever been cleaned or taken care of. Never know. You never know what the real story is. I'm going to pause and let this soak in for at least a couple of minutes, and then we're going to clean it off. Stand by. So I am opting to put a better stop bar on there. This stop bar is faded. It's very light. I don't even think I think it's a composite metal. I had a Geiger in my parts bin. I don't have a Gibson one, but this one weighs. It's got weight to it, and it's chrome plated, and it looks a whole lot better than that piece of junk, and it feels better. And it actually has locking set screws on it. Now, I am going to just put one string on. Well, before I do that, I want to... Cleaning this thing up, it would be a complete process. It looks pretty grungy, but I think we're going to be okay. I did clean it up a little bit, but these things take a lot of work, and I've already got a lot of time into this. I don't think we're going to have a problem with it. It's a little dirty, but I'm not going to spend 2 hours taking every little piece of that apart and cleaning it. What I do want to do is put some lube on each saddle and in each nut slot so that I can mitigate any catching. I don't see any problems here, but you never know, and I'm going to eliminate the thought that it's catching anywhere once we get to stringing it. This is just tune-it lube. It's kind of a thing of mine. I like to use it. It's good stuff. It works really well. Get it down in every slot, wherever there's a takeoff point for your strings. And then once you string it up, wipe off the excess then. Don't try to wipe it off now. You fella. And then go to restringing. So really, I had a problem with the G, and we had a problem with strings touching on the back of the saddle, the bridge. We're going to address that now as we restring it. Where are you? Right. Make sure you're in the saddle, make sure you're in the nut. Snip off the excess. You want at least one wrap above and a minimum of one below. These are really short tuning machines, so one on top, one on below. I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are. We're all strung up. Now the first thing you want to do is just dab off any excess lube that we put on there in the takeoff points at the nut and at the saddles. It shouldn't be a lot. Don't glob that stuff on there, but you don't need any excess. It only needs to be just under the string to give it some ease of movement. Now, I can tell you that when I first got this instrument and I was conferring with the client, there was a lot of dead. It just seemed dull. Especially the G string. Even open, it was not ringing. Now, I can tell you that a lot of our problem was right here, as I said at the top of this video. Now, I'm going to also qualify. He doesn't want the black ones. We're waiting for cream ones to come in. I'm donating these to get the setup done and get the rest of the work done on this instrument. So let's tune it up. And get to, well, really close. My ear must be good today. Stretch them. And you hear that little tink? Yep, that's seating here and here. That's why we stretch them. It gives the string an opportunity to get seated in the saddle and the nut slot. It also pre-stretches the strings. Let's double check this. We got to know where this is before we move on to anything else. Now, I got to say, I didn't measure it, but for a Les Paul, this thing has a pretty decent radius to it. Usually they're pretty flat. This one has more like a Fender radius to it. But, so I like the neck relief. We're good. 12 thousandths at the 7th fret. I know that we had strings touching here before. And now we're clear. I did open that up before. I just guessed at where to put it. All you want to be able to do is slide a piece of paper under the string as it approaches the saddle, the bridge, so it's not touching the back of the bridge. As long as there's clearance there, you're good. All right, it doesn't have to be anything more than that, because that break angle is critical. You want that, and the more the better, but within reason. You don't want it so acute that it's touching. Just out of curiosity with strings. Now, remember, we used a straight edge to check the clearance here. Well, yeah, we got more than enough clearance on our pickup rings. Yeah, more than enough. And that was our problem to begin with before. The client was complaining of buzzing, fret buzzing, check the level of the frets, and, you know, not knowing exactly that there's, you know, other things that could be involved. Everybody goes, oh, the frets, and especially knowing that this guitar had new frets installed. It had a refret job at some point. But what it was right here, the pickup rings. They were literally touching the strings. Now, that doesn't mean that the setup doesn't need to be done. We still need to do that. Let's see where our intonation is. I can live with that. Hey, somebody at least got that right. Oh, yeah, somebody at least got that right. Oh, wait a minute, the B is way out. The B tuner seems a little wonky. No, we're good. I like it. At least the intonation is set. I don't have to monkey with that. String height and pickup height. That's all that's left. Literally, that's all that's left. And I think this was kind of deadening our sound before too, plus strings were touching, and of course the pickup rings were interfering with string, string vibration. Where is our string height? Curious. It's really low. It's extremely low. And I know right about now when the client is watching this video, he's going to go, no, don't move it up. Yeah, we're going to move it up because it's too low. And then to finish this video, we're going to go through and check every note. Yeah, I'm not crazy about these tuners. Remember, after you change your string height, tune it back up to pitch so you have the proper tension on the strings before you recheck your adjustment. Just over 4/64ths, right at 4/64ths. Now, knowing this client likes his action super low, that's as low as I would ever send a guitar out. It doesn't need to be any lower than that. It's showing the 4/64ths line, splitting between 4 and 5/64ths on the bass side, and disappearing the 4/64ths line on the treble side, which means leads are going to be sharp and fast. And this thing is holding tune. I'm curious. My big fat bass player fingers. Not a buzzing fret in the whole lot. And if your guitar tech isn't going through that exercise when you complain about buzzing frets, even though we already knew what the problem was, you still have to eliminate any other possibility. It's crucial. It's critical. Pay attention. When I was rocking, I found a few frets that were maybe tinking a little bit, and I know through experience not enough to cause a dead fret. And sure enough, we just proved it. Boy, I'm good. Sometimes just by presetting these, they were almost dead on. That one could come up slightly. And remember, when we started, the pickup height was actually below the pickup rings, and the pickup rings were banging the strings. Yeah, not anymore. I like that. That one's too far away. This is the last adjustment that you're going to make. Pickup height is crucial. You don't want it too close. You don't want it too far away. It has to be in that happy zone, magnetic field. If it's too close, you're choking out your sound and possibly touching strings. If it's too far away, you're losing power. The magnetic coil is not picking up the vibration of the string. Perfect. I love it. I love it. I think it's pretty cool. And this thing is ready to play. All right. Strings are stretching, needs to settle overnight. I always do that and then I'll check it again in the morning. Now, as I said, we're waiting for cream colored, the correct color pickup rings for this, and I can do that with the strings on it and then retune it. But that's it. This guitar is ready to go. I could literally give it back to him today, but I like to let them settle overnight, and it's got to wait a couple of days until those rings come in. I ordered Gibson pickup rings. These are Gibson, but they're the wrong color. And that matters too. I tried some that I had in my bin that were not Gibson, and they would not match up with the curvature of the body. It matters. Get right parts. If you're working on a Fender, get Fender parts. If you're working on a Gibson, get Gibson parts as much as possible, as much as you can. I could have left those other pickup rings on there, but no, it wouldn't have been perfect, and that's what I want it to be. Right? Blackjack with 396 guitars. This Les Paul is ready to go. It was in rough shape when we got it, and there were a lot of customer concerns. The client was really talking a lot about buzzing frets. It's not buzzing frets. It was the pickup rings. Now, he did have complaints about sharp fret ends. That's different. It has nothing to do with playability. It has to do with the way the guitar feels while you're playing it. We addressed all that. We literally went through and did a fret end dressing, and while I was at it, because I had it all taped off, I polished all the frets, because why not? We'll talk soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. We'll